Hey everybody, and welcome to another Project Egg interview. Today we're talking to Joe Taveras from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Joe, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself, man?
Good, good. Thank you so much for jumping on the call today. I really appreciate it. So,
Anytime.
let's jump right in, man. First question I have for you today is, what is your story?
It's a great question, man. It started out with entrepreneurship back in, man, I was in high school, I believe, at the time. Um, and I was 16. I was in a marketing class in my high school. I got in the class because I was told it was super easy. So didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life at that point in time. And we actually had an entrepreneurship professor from he was a professor or something at UCF. He came down to visit and he came to speak at our class. And when he spoke in our class, he was talking about entrepreneurship. And most people say, some a professor teaching entrepreneurship, like that's bogus, like that's not good stuff. Like he's just going to teach you out of a book. This guy was a little bit different from your typical professor. He didn't believe in teaching by the book. He believed in teaching by giving you a task and you going out and doing it. For example, the whole semester you would be in his class and you would be working on a business plan. Once you develop that business plan, creating the product, once you create that product or service, presenting it to uh, investors, and then making that a actual business, a reality. But anyways, he was speaking and he was talking about his young entrepreneur ventures um, as he was a lot like younger, him and his brother and stuff like that. And I just got really inspired at that moment and decided I want to create like a little t-shirt company within my high school. Everyone who's done entrepreneurship or something, one time in their life, they've thought about a t-shirt company idea. And long story short, from there, I tried to work on that. Realized how hard it was, failed. And then I was like, all right, screw this isn't for me. Whatever, I tried it. Second semester, not second semester, the next year, he comes again. And I'm still in this marketing class. I'm second year in that class. It's a four semester program, and you get a certificate, which I did complete. Um, anyways, he came again and he talked again, and it reignited that flame for starting up a t-shirt company. This time I'm 17, and I actually had a guy in my class that actually was like, dude, let's do this. Um, long story short, we came up with some great ideas, but I didn't end up pursuing that business with that specific business individual just because I started to get this weird gut feeling that he was just going to completely like take the whole business from me. And, as young entrepreneurs, we ignorant or whatever, but, I trusted that gut feeling and I didn't do it, and to this day, I don't regret it. Um, but anyways, from there, it led me to a lot of other entrepreneur opportunities. Some friends of mine asked me to, join their business, and I was totally with that at the time and got into that. Learned a lot. Learned about self development. Learned about sales, networking with people, and stuff like that. And that was great. Did that for a few years, and then decided I really wanted to focus on my own thing because I started trying to do my own thing, and then I went to someone else's thing, helping them build their dreams, and then I was just like, what, screw this. Also, I worked a job throughout high school from the age of, uh, it was my 16th birthday to the age of 18. I worked a job at Dunkin' Donuts, worked almost every single day. And yeah, I was just hustling, saving up my money. I was planning on buying a car with it. Ended up not working out. I just kept blowing my cash away. Um, but yeah, again, I started investing here and there, started losing money, learned how to trade stocks actually when I was in high school. Had a blessed opportunity of one of my friends, his stepdad was actually like a day trader. And that's all he did for a living. And I mean, he wasn't like crazy successful, but like he had some money made and stuff like that. And he just had the opportunity to pursue his dreams. And he still trades to this day. I still talk with him. And, I got a little bit into that. My dad I was born in New York, and my dad is like he was there for a bit, and he used to see all the World Trade Center guys and everything trade their stocks and stuff. So he used to tell me stories about that. So once I had an opportunity to learn about how to trade stocks, I was like, there's tons of money in that. And this is around the period where penny stocks were starting to become a thing. This is before the Wolf of Wall Street came out and made it even popular. So I started doing research on people like Tim Sykes, people like Cameron Foose from FooseAlerts.com, stuff like that. And those guys were cool and stuff like that, but definitely didn't feel like that was the route I wanted to take. So I just decided to learn through a friend of mine, my friend's stepdad, and yeah, from there learned about that stuff, started trading, saved up 3 grand, um, and I invested it. And let's just say it didn't go exactly as I thought it would. You know, usually people they do what's called paper trading. It's trading fake money, trading paperless stuff. Um, and that's completely different from the actual market. When you actually start putting your money where your mouth is, it's a complete different scenario. And I'm actually so blessed and thankful that I was able to trade stocks at such an early age. I kept pursuing it for a bit. Found out later on I hate trading. Even after I started making money, I made, I think, I remember this. I made $175 in a minute. No, in 2 minutes. And in the next minute, I lost $75 of that. So, yeah, it was pretty intense. But going on further, I decided to go to California, to move all the way from South Florida to California to go to school and pursue a business degree. And while I'm doing all this, I'm stepping away from everyone else's opportunities that they've been offering me here and there, and I start to really dive down into who I am as an individual. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Started watching people like Gary Vee, which Gary Vaynerchuk, a lot of people who love marketing, and I love marketing. Started doing stuff with him like that. Started taking opportunities to make a little side cash, so having little side gigs here and there. Actually got really into social media, so I dedicated 3 years on Instagram solely because I noticed that was where the most attention was, and I learned how to build accounts. Like from very small to very large numbers. Tried different methods and stuff, and it was really interesting. To see like the progress through all that, trying different things, being able to network with big IG accounts. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with MrGoodLife.co. Maybe some of you guys have heard of Lux Quotes. The guy who runs the account Lux Quotes, he's actually a really good friend of mine. His name's Farouk Sarmad. And I was able to meet him through the networking opportunity I had when I was learning at first to build Instagram accounts. And that's something I still focus on. I focus on Instagram and Instagram marketing now. But anyways, going back, yeah, I went to college and I'm pursuing this business degree. And people ask me, "You're entrepreneur minded. Why did you go to college? Like, you should know that's probably a waste of your time." And for the most part, it's all about where your values are at, where your mindset is at. I like to tell people it's like college isn't a bad thing, but college isn't a good thing either. It's what you make of it. A lot of people I know, they've personally gone to college and they've not gotten a job. And I know people who've gotten to college and they've gotten a job. I've known people who paid off all their student loan debts, and I've met people who haven't paid their student loan debts. And it's all a matter of like mindset. What you're focusing on. Some people go to college just to get a job. Some people go to college to network. That's what I did. I went to college to network with people, meet people I've never met. I've also went to college to, become more professional as an individual. A lot of times, and to just experience a different part of life, without having to be as responsible as I would have to just jumping straight into entrepreneurship alone. And people ask me a lot, like, is that a big regret of yours and stuff? And, to an extent, there is, but, at the same time, I'm very thankful because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if I didn't go to college. So, yeah, I started studying for that stuff, realized how much I hate homework still. um, and again, I just started networking with people in my school. Didn't really find too many entrepreneurs. It was kind of hard. And then I stumbled across one of my good friends and business partner to this current day, Kyle Ferguson. And he's just been an awesome individual. Like me and him have literally traveled to crazy places together, taking these crazy epic pictures and stuff. And actually when me and him like started to become even better friends, because I knew him since my freshman year, but our sophomore year of college, we became really tight friends and we started going on these crazy adventures and stuff. And this is a little bit like stepping back from entrepreneurship, but just more focusing on just like passions and all this stuff. Well, growing up, I was always into photography and, videos, especially. I used to make videos I used to help film videos for a friend of mine who had a YouTube channel. He did this like comedian stuff. And, I never really got like too into it because I couldn't afford, a camera. So I used my iPhone or whatever when I had the chance to take pictures and stuff. Well, when I started hanging out with Kyle, we started going on crazy ventures, waterfalls, mountains, hikes, everything. Traveling up and down the Pacific Northwest, and yeah, from that whole process, I was actually fortunate enough to have a friend in college who never used his camera and would like, dude, if you want to borrow my camera, just let me know. So I would borrow his camera, go out, take pictures, make videos and stuff. And the videos were crap. And but I started working at it, and I really started to rekindle that fire, that passion for photography, for videography, and just started going in at that while also working on business opportunities. Well, I I'm a strong believer in that if you do something you love long enough, eventually you'll figure out a way to get paid, you know? And that's one thing that has actually come across my path along this, videography, photography journey. I've eventually found a way to get paid. And I'm probably like, yeah, I eventually found a way to get paid. And, along that, we, we figured out like people would reach out to us if we are consistent enough with our content. I was already, and don't get me wrong, like it all, like everything falls into line. Like everything falls according to this path that I'm already pursuing and going on. Um, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that all the skills I learned prior to doing what I do now, just like makes the skill that I'm focusing on now so much stronger. Like I know Instagram marketing, I know it works. I have a solid group of friends who do a lot of video stuff, photography stuff, and they make money off of it for a living. But I was able to do that because I learned how to network. I was able to learn how to, reach out to companies so that I can get paid to make videos because I learned how to do sales and push that and whatnot. So it's like all those skills came into play. Um, but yeah, again, me and Kyle, we ended up starting doing a couple business ventures and stuff here and there. Uh, I ended up, not following through with everything like I wanted to. Just wasn't feeling what we were doing at the time, and decided to separate from that for a bit. And eventually, like we started our own little like side gig, where we did a lot of like social media marketing and stuff like that. And yeah, we focused on that, and we also built a little side income from that as well. And eventually, we just started to just fully focus our efforts on what we do now, which is videography, photography. Right now, Kyle actually is going to be heading to Mexico on the 24th, 27th. He's going to be filming a documentary type TV show, video, something over there. And I believe he's also going to be going to Hawaii, Canada, Honduras later on throughout the year. Yeah, and then we're also planning some other trips and stuff, reaching out to some companies, doing some crazy stuff. And pretty much, like, again, it's just like we literally spent a year doing this stuff and just focusing on it and just not worrying about getting paid for it right off the bat, but just like perfecting our crafts, building our reputation, getting out there. And now I have people who like I don't even have to like literally pitch myself or say like, look, I can make this for you. They come to me and be like, dude, I see your edits, I see your pictures, like let's work together.
Awesome. That's brilliant. That's great. So, I mean, that was a great story, man. I really do appreciate that. But I kind of want to dive into a few things specifically. So, when you were in high school, you were talking about how you kind of caught that entrepreneurial bug.
Yeah.
Um, what did that feel like? Like how would you convey that sense of, okay, this is what I want to do. I know this is for me, and I'm going to pursue that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think a lot of it had to do with, you know, a lot of us go to school and we're told these are the specific like things that you can choose from, and that's it. And at that point in life, like none of those things really resonated with me. They never really fit. So I was always having this like, not a void, but I'm going to use the term void. I had this like void in my heart, and it was just like, man, like I don't know what the heck I want to do with my life. And a lot of times, even in college, a lot of people are like that. Um, so when he started talking about entrepreneurship and talked about how he did his own thing, you know, the first thing that came to mind was like, wow, the dude's free. Like he's free. Like he has no one saying, dude, you need to do this. And at the time, again, I'm working a job, at Dunkin' Donuts with, a boss, a manager, a shift leader, whatever you want to call him. And I wasn't free. Like, yeah, I had enough money to go hang out, and I wasn't working crazy hours. Like, I was getting straight A's, uh, and my school was not difficult by any means. I was getting straight A's. I was making decent amount of money a month. I was able to hang out with friends freely, but I wasn't truly free, and that was the thing that really like brought that sensation. Like, I was like, wow, he's free. I want to be free too. You know? So
And I think that that really speaks a lot about your character. That you want to be free and that you're willing to take that risk and you're willing to really bet on yourself. So we talked about your past. We talked about where you are now a little bit. You said in the videography, um, but I feel like all of it can kind of be, like you were saying, everything builds on one another. So
yep.
what is the thing that drives you, that at the end of the day, like this is why you get out of bed, this is why you're doing what you're doing, like it's all for this thing, and it may be freedom, I don't know, but what is
Hmm.
it for you?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. Um, I think for me, it personally has to do with I know what my why is in life. My why is to always have fulfillment with everything that I do and always to have plenitude. If those two things do not come from what I'm doing, whether it be like I'm only getting one over the other, I'm not satisfied, and I'm always striving to get fulfillment from what I'm doing and plenitude. Plenitude as in like making enough from it, but fulfillment as in like I'm loving what I'm doing and I would never stop doing it no matter what. Now, that might sound a little contradicting because earlier I said like we weren't focused on getting paid at first, but that's because we just started, That's because we were not like by any means our efforts, our works, we couldn't make money off of that unless we wanted to like get paid $20, and that's if we're lucky. So it's like fulfillment and plenitude are the number two things I focus on when I'm doing whatever. Like I had a business that I ran, and I focused on, fulfillment and plenitude even while doing that. And along the way, when I first started it, I thought that was going to help me get to fulfillment and plenitude. At the end of the day, it only ended up giving me plenitude. That's it. So yes, I was making money, and that's why you hear a lot of people who usually say in entrepreneurship, I was making six figures, but I quit that because it wasn't fulfilling for me. You know
It didn't have your heart. It didn't have your heart.
exactly.
And I think that when you said that that was your why, I really think that that's powerful because if you don't have your why, at the end of the day, you'll let the what and how be your excuse for not doing the things you said you're going to do.
Yep.
And it's palpable. Like when you have that why, that driving force. I mean, I'm going to do it, and there's absolutely nothing that's going to stop me. And I think it speaks a lot to your character that you have a why, that you're so like you're comfortable enough with yourself to realize this is what I want to do, this is who I am, and I'm just going to do it. So I really do commend you on that. Um, but I also want to talk about a few of the things that you attributed to your success. Um, One of the things that you mentioned was networking.
Yeah.
So could you maybe shed some light on the importance of networking and building relationships in your field?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So I believe whether you want to pursue a career path, as in like getting a job, or you want to be an entrepreneur, create your own business, create your own, be innovative, whatever, or pursue like an art form like I am, you need to network. It doesn't matter what you do. Networking is important. It's not what you know, it's who you know. You can be Albert Einstein, but if Albert Einstein didn't know the people who ran the press, the people who created all these awards or whatever, like he wouldn't have gotten nowhere. Yeah, he could have created something, but if only one person knew about it, then only one person knows about it and no one else is going to hear about it. So it's simple as like networking is so crucial to get you to the necessary places. For me, in my personal field, pursuing photography and videography, you need to network with other artists to develop your craft even further. But on top of that, not just for that sole purpose, but also so that way you can, you know, figure out like, okay, well, what worked best for you when you reached out to companies? How did you get certain gigs? At the same time, it's not like you're asking them only for advice, but you're also giving them value back. And that's the thing that people screw up with networking. People say like, oh, I'm networking, I'm reaching out to this person, that person, but like our relationships aren't sticking. Like the relationship fell right through the roof, and there's a reason for that. You're not providing value. But yeah, networking is crucial. Like I can say that literally. Let's see it this way: if you know someone in each state of the United States, if you truly have networked with a lot, like at least one person in each state in the United States, every time you bring up that you're going to go to their state that they live in, they're going to be like, dude, come stay with me. And you won't have to pay at all for housing, or staying at a hotel or whatever. And it's not like you can't afford it, but I'm just giving you this scenario in particular. They're going to be like, dude, like you've made an impact on my life, even though you might think in your head, well, you've made an impact on my life, you know? So networking opens up doors, whether it be you saving money in this case, or, you having the right doors open. I know a guy who's like in the same industry as I am, and he's not even like very well known, but he knows all the big players in the industry. People who are shooting videos with, chain smokers and all these artists and making music videos and stuff. And because of that, even though he's not known, like because of his network, he's making lots and lots of money, and he's known throughout the famous people, not so much like everyone else, like the other people are.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And,
Yeah.
I really think that what you said about providing value in return
Yep.
is so critical. I try to spend a lot of my time networking too, just getting to know people. In fact, we're getting to know each other right now.
Exactly.
But for people that maybe they're not really familiar with networking, that might seem like a lot and a little bit out of reach.
Yep.
Like, oh, these really famous people, these really successful people, how could I possibly provide value to them? So could you maybe shed some light on something that just normal people can do to provide value to somebody else in that regard?
Sure. I mean, it all depends on your skill set. You have to be self-aware. That's like key before you can even network and even know what value you could bring to the table. You have to kind of do your research on the person that you're going to be networking with. And sometimes you might not actually be able to Google and search them if they're not really like super well known. But instead, just, reach out to them and show them that you're actually, some people just, the value is just them having a legit and authentic relationship. That's it. Some people might be like, oh, you might be good with computers. I might not. So every time our relationship is like, dude, like I never see like you're not valuable to me. This might sound very harsh, but it's like if you don't have nothing to offer to the table, people eventually stop hanging with you, stop talking with you. They see you as a waste of time to talk with because you don't have anything to offer them. And it's not like that's the way people view you, but it's really what they view you without even realizing it. Why do you hang out with John and Mark or Janet and Sarah? Because they bring value to you. Maybe John might have like a party every weekend and he plugs you into the parties, you know, or Janet might be that girl for you. You know what I mean? Like that's the value. They might not actually be like giving you money or making you rich or something, but they provide value. Or maybe you're someone who always needs someone to talk to, and John or Janet is that person. Same thing. Like your need is loneliness. So like recognizing what the person's need is, you know, um, for artists and stuff like that, and even for entrepreneurs, like we have to always be attentive of needs. What are people's needs? Do they need a relationship? Do they need friends, a true person? Do they need feedback? I have friends that literally we are good pals because we give each other feedback. They tell me and that's the value in our relationship right there. And some people like they're not business minded. They're just pursuing a degree in a specific industry and whatever, and they're just trying to get a job, but there's still value in me hanging out with them because I don't know, maybe they I don't know, for example, like some of my friends, like they're just fun to be around, and if I want to have a good time, if I want to have fun, like I'm around them. Simple as that.
Right, right. And you know, even if hearing all that, you still might think like, oh, I have what value can I bring to somebody else? Start with a conversation.
Yep.
I mean, if you have a good conversation with somebody and you make them feel good by talking to them, and that's valuable, is just talking, just having a conversation, just
Yep.
sharing who you are, and expressing yourself. I mean, it doesn't have to be like you said. You don't have to give them money, or you don't have to invite them to a party, or vice versa. They don't have to do those things for you. Um,
Yep.
you really can choose your friends for whatever reason that you want. But if you do want to be surrounded by very successful people,
Hmm.
like you said, you have to pay attention to their needs. They
Yep.
might not want to hang out with the party animal. They might want to hang out with somebody who is reading a lot, who can offer perspective, who can
Hmm.
offer a specific skill set. So I really think you were right on the money with what you were saying. Um, but but moving past networking, because I think we covered that. Um, you mentioned mindset, and you mentioned how important mindset is. So could you dig a little deeper and really shed some light on how critical of a role mindset plays?
Yeah, sure. There's different names for it. I'm sure people have heard it typically as the law of attraction. Um, I typically think like there is some truth, but there is some like also mumbo jumbo along with that. But for the most part, whatever you set your mind to, you're gonna achieve that. Simple as that. Other people call it faith. Some people say faith can move mountains. I don't think it literally means faith can move a mountain that you're looking at right at that moment, but it like the mountain symbolizes something big within your path that's in the way, you know? And oftentimes that mountain might be a limiting belief. Having a proper mindset can bring you like very far in life. A perfect example is if you want a job, you can't believe in your mind or have even a little bit of doubt that you might not get a job. And then even if you get like if even if you don't get the job you originally wanted, you still have to believe that you're going to get a job. And I'll tell you why. Perfect example, I had all these business ventures that I did. Some I made lots of money in, some I made no money in, you know? And at the end of the day, like everything ended up failing. But I'll tell you one thing. If I succeeded in doing one of those things, I would have been miserable. Truthfully. Like I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't be having the opportunity to travel the world and film and take pictures and stuff. So it's like when you don't get the job you want, or you know, or something, or you don't get a job, and even though you applied and you're applying to all these places and stuff, the right opportunity will fall into your lap for a specific reason. It might not pay you six figures, or that you're going to get a job, the right job, not just any job, the right job will come your way. Same thing with entrepreneurship, which is pursuing whatever passion you have. You know, it, it's It's the same thing. If you believe that you're going to succeed, you will. If you don't believe that you're going to
Probably
succeed,
won't.
you will not succeed. The other thing is like having even a tiny bit doubt will destroy everything. If you have a moment in your mind where you start thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, you need to quickly be like, nope, nope, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. If you need to read on a piece of paper, I will succeed at doing this, whatever it might be, blank. Every single day, do that.
Do it.
You know,
Do it.
exactly. Do it. It's like I used to have a sheet of paper up on the back of my door, and he used to say, I will accomplish this and this and this and this by this age, you know? And it's like there was no doubt in my mind, like I'm gonna hit that. So it's like mindset is everything. In my personal opinion, mindset is what you should learn before you learn sales or networking and everything like that. Because people see your mindset before they see your ethic, before they see your sales skills or your networking skills. That's another thing for networking. If you're a very negative minded person or your mindset isn't all there, people can spot that instantly. and that will either make or break the relationship.
It's like they can smell it on you.
Exactly.
They
You have,
know.
yeah, like think about it this way. If you're someone who hangs around with a lot of happy, always laughing type people and stuff, every time you see a sad person, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to recognize them instantly. Why? Because you're surrounded by all this positivity, all this happiness, all this laughter, all this joy. So when you even see a little hint of sadness, of sorrow, of grief, of depression, or whatever, you're going to instantly be like, wow, like you're going to notice that person, or you're going to notice that feeling, that emotion, that negativity.
And you might even turn the other way. You might
Yeah,
want to say, some people, the very profound people might say, will help them become happy, but some people, they just want to stay with the happier people. But I really think that's profound what you're saying.
yeah.
Um,
It's simple as that. Like a perfect example is this. There's a workplace, and in the workplace, all the workers are positive people. Their sales are up, their marketing's up, their management's up, their HR's up, and all of a sudden, HR is hiring someone, a new guy. This guy, he's really like his skills are all there and everything. He's good with sales, marketing, management. They could put him in any field. Anyways, so they end up hiring him. Not realizing he's a negative-minded person. You know, now in this room, he's one dark cloud surrounded by all these like white clouds. You know, and the first week, everyone's still positive. All the clouds are still white, except his. Second week, there's a couple more dark clouds. By a month later, after he's hired, everyone in that whole place is negative. Business ends up shutting down or whatever. Why? Because negative has more impact than positive does. But also it's because you have to have the right mindset. When you have the right mindset, negativity cannot enter and stay in there. It can enter for a bit, but it'll slip right out the other ear. Exactly.
right.
That's why it's crucial.
And I feel like the most successful people will say that you have to get your mind right first.
Yep.
I'm not sure where I read this. The name of the author escapes me, but he was saying something to the effect of, to get from 0 to 250,000 of revenue, that's mindset, entirely mindset. 250 to
It is.
500 is marketing, and 500 plus is people, human resources. So, mindset is critical. Mindset is very important, and marketing is obviously important too. But I'm actually of the firm belief that people are the greatest assets, and
Yep.
that kind of goes back to networking. But one of the more powerful forms of networking, I think, are masterminds, are
Yes.
groups of people that come together for a specific purpose, which is to succeed together in a certain area, a certain niche. So maybe you could shed some light on the power of masterminds.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Perfect example of that is I'm actually, I mean, we don't call it a mastermind, but it is a mastermind in essence. I'm in a group with a lot of people who do video. Right now I'm currently in the process of getting a new camera, and what am I doing? I'm saying, hey guys, look, these are my options. What is your opinion? What are your thoughts? You get me? We literally feed off of each other. One guy in the group, he loves the way I edit my videos, and he edits differently. I love the way he does his color grading. That might be some terms you may
A little
may or may not
technical, but
understand.
yeah.
Yeah, more technical terms when it comes to that industry, that niche. But at the same time, like masterminding in whatever you do, you want to meet up with a group of people that you trust, that are in a similar or the same niche industry, and you guys want to not shed, you guys want to shed some light on, what you're experiencing. It might be like what you did this week that differently, that helped you save maybe $100, $1,000, or what you did differently in your way of thinking that enabled you to see the world in a more positive light. It doesn't matter. Masterminding is so crucial because it's not like, okay, you can do this by yourself, honestly, but it won't be as effective. Why? You're one person, you have one certain perspective. Picture it as a pair of glasses. Someone's pair of glasses are different than yours. No one pair of glass, not all pair of glasses are the same. Simple as that. no pairs, whatever. My grammar's completely off.
Right.
Um, but anyways, the point is when you mastermind, you see through other people's lenses, perspectives. That's why I love traveling so much. When you travel and you meet people in foreign countries that isn't the United States or whatever, or even if you travel around the United States, everyone has a different perspective because they come from a different walk of life. So masterminding and even networking plays a big part, but masterminding is even stronger because these are people you have strong bonds with, and these bonds can launch you to the next level of proper mindset, and opening up your worldview. It, a perfect example is this. It's always good to have. I think Ty Lopez says something like this. It's like the rule of 30%. 30% of the people should be below you. 30% of people should be equal to you, and 30% should be above you. And there's a reason why. Like if you had a group like that, where that's a perfect mastermind group in essence. 30% of people who you can give info to, 30% of people that you can relate to, and maybe those percentages are off. I don't remember. And then the 30% of people that are above you where you can learn from. So it's like you can learn from every aspect of life through there. And on top of that, these three groups of people are going to be completely different. They're not going to be the same as you. Even the people who are in the same level as you, mentality wise, they still come from a different background, culture, heritage, whatever. So that's why masterminding is crucial because think about it this way. If you're an expert on marketing, sales, and networking, but this person's more of an expert on technical stuff, coding maybe, or, writing speeches or something, boom, or public speaking, then boom, right there. That's something that you can learn from them, hearing from their perspective, because they've done it. You haven't.
And together the sum or the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Yes.
I'd like to contribute an image, to paint a mental image. Um, Suppose that there are four people, and they were all put in a room, and they were given the task of painting one wall. And the first guy, he gets the blues and the greens, and he's painting. It's beautiful. The second guy, he gets the reds and the oranges, and he paints his wall, and it's gorgeous. And the last guy has yellows and reds, and these three different walls are just they're gorgeous. They're artisan work. They're absolutely immaculate. And the fourth guy put a mirror, and it was a reflection of the other three, and it was the most beautiful of them all, and it synthesized everything, and it brought everything together. So just like what you're saying, everybody has a different perspective. Everybody, they're a different color of paint. They come from a different walk of life, and when you get a little bit of knowledge here and knowledge here, and you give knowledge there and there, and you create that network and that mastermind, it all comes together, like you said, and all builds on one another, and it's very powerful and it's very palpable. So you're right. You are right. You're right on target, and I could not be happier that you brought that up. Um, but I do think that um, getting to know people is one of the best parts of entrepreneurship. Um,
Oh yeah.
but moving back to your life, um, we've talked about your past. We've talked about what you're doing now. We've talked a little bit about the future. But if there was one thing, just one thing that you had to accomplish in your lifetime, what would that one thing be?
Ooh, that's a that's a big one, man. Um, I mean, it varies differently, man, because there's just so much that you can select from here and there. One thing, wow. I'd say be able to give back, but not give back in the essence of like money or like more give back as in like mentality wise, you know, Like if I can share with people how I think, why I think, in a more broader perspective, that would be the ultimate thing that I'd want to do. Because travel the world, like, yeah, like that's easy. Get 100,000 in sales or revenue, like that's easy. It's all simple stuff. But to be able to share your mentality with everyone in the world, that's hard. You know, so that's one thing I'd really want to do. Give back in terms of like helping other people develop this mindset in such a smaller amount of time versus like having to go out and experience it all. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with experiencing. That's a part of learning too. And there's no way you can understand someone's complete perspective without going out. But I remember when I started reading self-development books and all this stuff and, documentaries, I would read this stuff and I wouldn't understand anything sometimes. Like I remember when I first learned about marketing, I was like, what's marketing? Um, but at the end of the day, like, boom, it hit me one day. It was just like, oh, this is marketing. Like, dude, this is sick, you know? So at the end of the day, it was just like, if I can share my mentality with everyone in the world, it doesn't matter if they agree complete with it. Like, by any means, I actually prefer that they don't agree with everything in my mentality. I prefer that they expand upon it. They take the goods and they get rid of the bads in their personal opinion. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's inspirational. Um, and you know, traveling traveling the world and make $100,000, it's not too bad either.
Yeah, no,
It's
don't get
not
me
the
wrong.
worst.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad concept. But at the end of the day, like, does it really truly align with my purpose? My why. And I mean, like, yeah, that's kind of does, but at the same time, it's like I want it to be bigger than just me. And traveling and making that much money is just, in essence, me. You know, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's more selfish instead of selfless. You know?
Yeah, and again, I think it speaks to your character
Yeah,
that you're trying to help as many people as you can.
yeah.
So I just have one more question for you,
hmm
and that is there anything about yourself that you think is an important part of who you are that I did not ask you about today? In other words, what did I miss?
Hmm. I think about patience and persistence. Those two things, those are my two P's, man. My two P's of life. A lot of this has to do with patience and persistence. Aside from networking and, aside from knowing my why, having self awareness and sales and all this other good stuff, it's patience and persistence that has gotten me this far, if I'm being honest. Like having the mentality, that's important. That's one of the first things you need to establish. But being able to be patient and to be persistent with what you're doing, that's one of the hardest things to do. Everybody, especially in our culture and generation, with instant gratification, like going online, posting something, and instantly getting a lot of people viewing your content and stuff like that, or like going to the bank, putting in your card, and instantly getting some cash out. It's really hard for us to grasp the concept of patience. And aside from that, also persistence. I mean, at least in the United States, we're very entitled, you know? So we expect to get things instantly, without having to put too much persistence or effort into it. But when you're persistent enough for what you really want, boom, it ends up coming to you. Because in reality, you don't get everything instantly. It's not the way the world works. It never will work that way, at least in my personal opinion. When it comes to the goals and stuff that you want, especially for self-made people, maybe someone with a little bit more of an established, fam- familial roots in, maybe what they want to do in their life, it might be a little bit more quicker, but even then that's still patience and persistence that's going to be applied to that.
Right, and you know, again, you have a lot of really good insight, Joe, and I really do thank you for tuning in. So, if anybody wanted to reach out to you and maybe get some more information, how would they do that?
Yeah. So I have two ways of you could possibly reach out to me. That's either through my email, which is adventurewithjoseph@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me even through Instagram or Facebook. My Instagram is at Joseph Taveras, and my Facebook is facebook.com/, joseph.taveras.583.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
So I encourage everybody to connect with Joe and get to know him. Really great guy. So again, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and thank you, Joe. This has been another Project Egg interview. We're here today with Joe Taveras from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Thanks a lot.
awesome.